particular impeachment process is actually going to be subjected to, if at all 83% of these individuals have already decided the fate of the deputy president. There's quite a number of issues that were laid, were put forward as grounds for impeachment. And this has to be with a gross violation of the Constitution, thus promoting ethnic discrimination, undermining national unity by, promoting divisive politics, contradicting government policies. Of course, we will be taking a look into some of these grounds in details, and also failing to uphold his duties as deputy president, and issues to do with corruption, money laundering, abuse of office, making false and malicious statements, gross misconduct, and which is actually attacks on the National Intelligence Service, and insubordination by bullying public officers. And I want us to take a listen to this particular bite where the mover of the motion did actually, cite issues to do with corruption and questioning how the deputy president amassed 5.2 billion shillings. Let's take a listen, then come back and talk about that.
Rigathi Gachagua did declare that he was worth 800 million. We are aware that he's paid slightly over 1 billion. Meaning that for the last 2 years, the much he could have accumulated justly is about 24 million. But I would demonstrate before Kenyans that he has properties to himself, the ones that I was able to get in my time of research, worth 5.2 billion Kenya shillings. I will also be demonstrating before Kenyans that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed international crimes. The ground of gross misconduct, I will be able to speak to the House in a very clear manner as to what constitutes gross misconduct as interpreted by our own courts. And I'll be able to show that the person of the deputy president is a bully.
Okay. Let's start with the issue of 5.2 billion, and I want to bring you Honorable comment on some of these allegations that have been put forward by the mover of the motion.
Well, thank you. I respect the question, and I also respect the process. But one thing that I would say is, I said it earlier, what I've discussed earlier on is the processes of impeaching a deputy president. I will not really want to go into the matters. One, because, anything that is before Parliament, Parliament is like a quasi-judicial court. Okay. And anything before the court is not supposed to be discussed out. And so for me, I will honorably say that if my two colleagues can discuss the matters, I will not delve into that, into those discussions until then, when we have finalized our debate in Parliament, and also when the Deputy President has been given a chance to say something. Okay. Yeah.
Senator Gloria, 11 counts. We've taken a look at some of the grounds for impeachment as far as the Constitution is concerned, and look at gross misconduct, committing a crime under national and international law, gross violation of the Constitution. We have 11, to some extent trying to pin most of these to these three that have been provided for in the Constitution, so that, casting your net wide, to some extent you'll be able to catch something.
Yeah, that's where the work is. That's where the work is. What I appreciate from the mover of the motion is that at least they understood that you can't just impeach a person because you don't like them. So what he was trying to do is to substantiate his grounds for moving the motion of impeachment. And now those are the things that when it comes to Senate, because like right now I'm in the middle of actually reading the grounds, understanding the background. When it comes to Senate, we'll also be given the responses from the Deputy President so that you can be able to read the accusations, read the responses, and make an analysis. It's a whole process. By the way, when you see us sitting there with those big volume of books, it's because you come and read one thing here that says this guy has 5.2 billion worth of properties. And then you have to go to the response of the accused and see what does he say about that. And the response sometimes can be so hefty. It can have like volumes and volumes of so many things. Sometimes it's just like a rabbit hole and you're being sent around. So it's having sat in Senate, I appreciate the process of now looking at the evidence, analyzing, sometimes you need to sleep over it because, you know, you go to your colleague and say, have you checked this page and that page? Did you see that this and that happened on this date? And another colleague will come and tell you, but actually, I have this letter where it's, you know, it's conflicting with that evidence. It's like a crime scene. So you are constantly, and that's why the process of it is that the moment the National Assembly now tables the report or the impeachment to the Senate, then the Speaker has 7 days to convene a sitting from the moment the report is tabled. And within those 7 days, he convenes the sitting. And then the process is that will take 10 days in the Senate to execute the matter. Okay. So the first thing is that they will decide, is this something that we can do in plenary with all 67 senators? Or will it be too chaotic? So a motion might actually be tabled to state that we are going the committee way. Okay. And if we are going the committee way, then now a fewer group of people are put together. Okay. And, you know, you've seen how that happens. And sometimes it goes the plenary way. So it's a whole process. And one thing I wish to sensitize Kenyans to appreciate is that you can pass the first few steps of impeaching a deputy governor, a governor, even a cabinet secretary, whatever. Okay. But there's a lengthy process that has a lot of technicalities involved. And even in the Senate, it's not a walk in the park. Okay. So for me, first of all, I've just been asking myself, not that I've just been saying, was it necessary, you know?
In terms of getting to this point?
Everything about it, because remember, we are also trying to build an economy. Okay. Sometimes I look at the actions of the deputy president and I try to understand where he's coming from, because I have been in this journey with the Kenya Kwanza government. I had Honorable Gakuya saying that it was 24 hours before the white smoke. No, it was 48 hours, 3 days actually. What's 3 days before the white smoke? Okay. We spent the whole weekend in Karen, you know, and we kept on coming back in the morning, leaving in the evening, coming back in the morning, until Sunday late afternoon is when the press conference was had. Right. So, and then I asked myself, if I was the deputy president, having gone through that very lengthy process that was hectic, you know, some things that happen, is it necessary to really do some of the things you're doing? Okay, that's my question. Like, unajua kila mahali, you have to learn how to be a number two, is what I'm trying to say. Right. And some things that he talks about, I hold my breath because there could be some truth there. But then I also ask myself, my God, you're the deputy president. All these things, now that I'm sitting in Senate, I also have to think, because this country is bigger than a senator or a deputy president. It's bigger than individual. And you ask yourself, having gone through this whole process, the economic ups and downs that we've had, we just had Gen Z, all these things. If you, Brian, were sitting in the deputy president seat, some of the things, do you think it was necessary that he did the things he did? All right.
Let me bring who gets now the responsibility when it comes to proving this? Is the deputy president supposed to put a spirited defense, or is it the move of the motion that's supposed to prove beyond reasonable doubt to some extent, quote unquote, that the allegations that he's putting forward are actually true?
I think in this particular case, one is that these red grounds has to be well substantiated, accompanied with its evidence. Okay. And I think it's out of the evidence that actually accompanies the allegation that even the Senate will assess to see whether the allegations pass the test or the threshold to impeach. Okay. And in this particular case, I would wish that as much as we want to state that actually somebody has amassed questionable wealth of billions, it should be well thought, because nobody has been given a caveat not to borrow to buy. So you may have taken a mortgage to buy properties, which is allowed by the law, because we are on a capitalism, and I don't think there is anything wrong there. Not everybody should say that because you have owned it now and in the last 2 years you had not, then you don't qualify to have. The only route to justify that is the arrogator should prove beyond reasonable doubt that this money is totally money that is that cannot be justified. Okay. And number two is that when we talk about money laundering, then we ask ourselves, why were these particular informations under the table? Why have we not heard about them there before? This country is a country with a country of with agencies who are entrusted to these issues to do an investigation. Why were these issues never reported to police or to DCI for proper investigation? We have never heard of them. And that is why we need to know, is it because that the time has come that one is being enchanted, that we must lay all blame and allegations that actually can be able to hammer his final death nail. Okay.
This is the thing. There's been talks that the Deputy President has not been in good terms with the National Intelligence Service. Could this information have come from them in terms of from what you're questioning them?
I don't want to engage myself on that line. But I'm very sure that, in fact, there has been a bad blood between the head of the NIS and the Deputy President, because at the time when there was an issue to do with the Gen Z, then the information that was released by the NIS, first and foremost, pointed the Deputy President and the former President as the funding of that particular process. It was later switched to Russia and later to Ford. Therefore, we get lost there in the middle. So, at that particular case, I am sure that there was a bad blood because the Deputy President responded to the NIS, indicating that actually it was like they were not giving out the correct information to deal with such an issue, and even they were unable to have informed the country of such an outcome expected to arise.
Okay. But Honorable Gakuya, I have a question for him. There seems to be a lot of bad blood between the Deputy President and many people. Why? This is a guy who is our number 2. When we started this conversation, he said there was bad blood with Kimani Ichung'wah, there was bad blood. I mean, and you know, when I looked at this 200 and I don't know what signatures, I said, my goodness, you have to really be intentional to have gone to each. I've had, you know, in Parliament, we sit together. We have lunch together with colleagues. Gakuya knows that. And even before the impeachment, I used to listen to people, not from Mount Kenya, some from Mount Kenya, some from other places. And they would complain, and I used to wonder, why this person is rubbing shoulders with her? How abrasive a person are you that someone in Siaya is sitting in the lunch, whatever, talking about and that's my question, because now he's saying also there's bad blood between, you know, it can't just be that this guy, there's bad blood with...
How about Gakuya, you interrupt with the Deputy President.
You know, Brian, why I'm saying that? Because...
Would you be able to answer to that question?
Yeah, I would like to hear.
No, what I can say is that, in fact, this is a wound of making friends. And wherever you have friends, you must also have your opponents. Okay. And in this case, I would say, in politics, you have your political friends and you have your political opponents, and they all both live in this world.
All right, I want us to take this particular bite.
And he has a lot of political enemies, which then is not doing so well in his politics. Okay,
maybe that's why we are here at this particular moment. Let's take this particular bite as far as security is concerned for the people that are actually supporting this.
We have to protect the lives of 291 members of parliament who have appended their signature there. We must also protect the system. The IG must protect our president to the hilt. Any reckless thug can decide to change the course of history if, God forbid, anything were to happen to our president.
We have seen it on social media. We have been told by certain quarters that before March of 2025, they say bendera itapepea mlingoti nusu. Honorable Speaker, these are weighty issues. We are not dealing with an ordinary matter. We are not dealing with an ordinary man. We are dealing with a black man with a very black heart.
And let us not fight let us not begrudge anyone, because what the House is doing is constitutional, because the House is just exercising its mandate. It's not.
All right, so Honorable Gakuya, before I come to Honorable Titus, we are dealing with a black man with a, we are dealing with a man with a very black hat, and people wanting their protection, the people that have been supporting this particular impeachment motion. I'm coming to you because you interact with the deputy president. Would you say their fears are justified in terms of wanting to be given more security? Even the president's security should actually be beefed up based on this. How tough and bad is Rigathi Gachagua that 291 individuals have to fear for their lives?
What I would say is that, in fact, that is just a fear of unforeseen, because as much as we have the history of Gachagua, we have not had him having so bullied to a situation where he has gone beyond the levels of control. And even though the allegations are appearing that he has been bullied, I don't think he has gone physical to anybody. And
but you agree? You agree he's a bully?
At this particular juncture, but when you talk about protection, I don't think you are asking to be protected because Gachagua will hunt you. Maybe the fear is that there could be maybe those supporters who can feel aggrieved, who maybe think to take another dimension to.
But Gakuya didn't answer. You asked him, so you agree he's a bully?
No, I have not. I have said I have not had him been physical in Hawaii. Yeah, that is it. But I don't. People may because personally, he's my good friend, and I have not seen in the kind of characteristics that actually people keep on talking about. This is something I have not noticed.
So where is the fear coming from? Because you deal with him, and you'll say you're rooting for his character. Yet there are 291, and the National Assembly itself, to some extent, afraid of this man, Rigathi Gachagua, wanting even the president to be protected. So where is this fear coming from? Maybe why are people so afraid?
I can tell you, maybe it's a man. God has given you your own passion, and maybe God also gives you a face that maybe a face can be judged wrongly. Because, but how do you do in case of such situation? Because I don't see exactly what is the fear. And by saying that, in fact, Gachagua have dark heart, this means what? That should be better elaborated to know what dark heart. Okay. Is that heart to mean that he's not afraid of anybody? Or he...
All right, all right. I want to bring in, because I'm running out of time, Honorable Titus. If by any chance, and I'm not saying you're going to vote to impeach the deputy president, but would you be afraid in terms of for your life? Would you need more security?
Well, I think the world over, security is a concern across board. If not, then we will not have armies. I think there's only one country in this world that does not have armies. And I don't think their security is guaranteed. So security is a paramount thing. Security here, if you go out here out of this studio, you will find that there's a security officer. So security is paramount. Now security is paramount yesterday, and security will always continue to be paramount. Okay. The only thing that I do not want to talk about is to link security issues now with the impeachment motion. Okay. I will not be afraid of my security, because whether you have a lot of things, I read in one part of the Bible, it says that if the Lord does not protect, then the people who are protecting, or the watchers, watch for nothing. Okay. So probably what we need to do is to put this country in the mood of prayers, so that we pray for this country, because the ultimate security does not come from east or west, it comes from God himself. Okay. But that being said, we probably need to have some bit of alertness in terms of the happening now, because we saw what happened during the Gen Z's protest, and we've actually seen this before, where leaders are targeted when there are instances like this. So I will say we just need to become a little bit of alert, but I will not want to say that we overly talk about this as a threat to security of individuals. It's important that we discuss it, but it's important that each person become, first of all, responsible for his or her security.
Okay. Final remarks, Honorable Gloria, security here and also the implication of this to these particular members who, to some extent,
you know, on security, let me just brief it and say, it all starts from communication. I read the paper today and you say MPs who want Gachagua out. That is not the case. MPs who support the motion to impeach Gachagua. When you do this, as a media also, you're sensationalizing a story. Someone who loves Gachagua looks at an MP who signed to support the motion and they think this is my enemy. So it is also, you're creating turmoil, and that's where everything starts from, the things that we read. So
is the fear for the allies and the security justified?
To some extent, with what is happening with the communication and the misinformation, I would say yes. Because there are people who see me sitting here, I am talking about execution of our constitutional procedure, but they are saying, you are the enemy. You see, because of how even I'll be quoted, so to speak, on the platforms after this show. So I feel like because of the misinformation and disinformation, some people understand the processes or the procedures differently, and they tend to take it a bit personally.
All right.
But on my final remarks, I want to say this. I respect the office of the Deputy President. I respect the office, and by extension, you must respect the office holder. Okay. You know, you can't say I respect the office and then you don't respect the office holder, because the office holder is custodian of the office you respect. And that's why, for me, sometimes I look at some of the things that are being meted to the office or the office holder, or that are being done by the office and the office holder, and I say, you guys, you know, that is a deputy president. You know, for me, I got into politics when the deputy president office was so powerful. Going to Karen was like, you know, you're fearing. So that's the respect I have for that office. But in the same spirit, I have to say this. I really don't like every single time that I switch on my TV, go on my social media, and the office holder of this office that I respect is edging me out of this country by saying Mount Kenya, Mlima. As a person who comes from a very small tribe, the Kisi tribe, I don't like it. And I start feeling like, hey, listen, we are all Kenyans. So that doesn't sit well with me. And every time that is pushed to people like me, then we start wondering, does the office holder really understand how much we respect this office and the office holder? Okay,
thank you so much for your insights on this particular conversation. Honorable Gloria Roba, of course, Senator, thank you so much for making time this particular morning. And Honorable Titus Lote, who is the Member of Parliament, Kachiliba, and Honorable James Gakuya, Embakasi North, Member of Parliament. I do appreciate your time here on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming. All right, that's where we wrap it up here on New Dawn. Do have yourselves a lovely day. Up next is Remy Majala on Heart to Heart.
Saturday morning won't be the same again.
Launch sequence activated.
Have a nice trip.